Hey guys, it's your legal bestie attorney Symone, and thank you guys for joining me. We are on Verdict Watch, guys. We are on Verdict Watch, and I got some predictions. So any moment now, we could be hearing from the jury as far as a new verdict. Now, you're probably all aware that yesterday the jury came back and said that they have an agreement on 4 of the charges 2 through 5, but that they cannot agree. That they cannot agree as to charge number 1, which is RICO. So today, as we are waiting for updates, we're going to be following, of course, CNN, Inner City Press, all of that. I'm going to be doing a verdict watch for like the first hour. I will be on Don Lemon this morning. So we'll head over there, and then you'll see me again this afternoon with more of the verdict watch. And so actually, I'm still, as you guys know, I'm still in New York. Let me know where you are viewing us from. Yeah, get your Astroglide ready. Yes, y'all, get it ready. I don't know where I put mine, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine. I got a gavel somewhere around here too. Anyway, I'm not at my house, which is part of the problem, as you know. So I'm in New York, and I decided I want a verdict watch with you guys. I did it with the ASAP Rocky case when that verdict came in, and it was so much fun. So I decided that rather than going to the courthouse and being in the courtroom, I want to do this here so we can answer questions. Good morning from Long Island. Get to see Thrift the one way. I want so that I can answer questions and that we can enjoy this in real time. It's also much more comfortable because, at the court, like I can't, they don't let me eat in the courtroom. I got to sneak my snacks. Usually got my salami, some beef jerky. Goodness gracious. But y'all, I want to start with, we are going to trace back. We're going to pay close attention to all of the jury questions. I'm going to walk you through the jury questions and how it is that we got to the hung verdict that we got today. So what I did was I actually pulled down, I got a document, I pulled down all the questions to date that they had. Plus, this is really important, the documents that they asked for. And based on that, I want to hear what y'all's predictions are as far as the verdict. Now, they said yesterday when the jury came back and said, we've got a verdict, right? And there was a note that said that. Then that note was shared with Diddy, that he looked sad, he looked dejected, that type of thing. Well, I have to tell you, I want to be very clear. So some people are thinking, oh, that's a sign that this isn't going to be good for Diddy. That's a sign that this isn't going to work. No. See, Diddy doesn't get to know. On that note, it doesn't say what the verdict was. It just said they have an agreement on 3 of the counts and they're hung on the other count. So it's not like Diddy read the note and saw it said guilty and now he's having a bad day. Good morning, guys. If they have verdicts on the other ones, Does it matter to vote for RICO? I'm going to explain that. Sure. I'm going to start that question and make sure that I get to it. So number one, part of what I found to be the most interesting, and I'm going to put this up on the screen so you can see it, is the questions. Okay, here we go. It's right here. We're going to open that. All right. Part of what I found particularly interesting, y'all, was the questions of the jury. So we're going to just quickly step through those. Remember, the first one was the jury for a person. She stated, Your Honor, we don't believe that juror number 25 will follow Your Honor's instructions. Could you please, they said, quote, could you please come and talk to him or, ask him to talk with you privately? I thought that was like really strong. And remember, that juror, I forget, juror number 25, we pulled him up. And when I looked at his stats, that is the juror. Child, he's going to be such a problem. Hold on. He's going to be a problem throughout. That's the juror. He's the scientist. I think he's a gay scientist. Here we go. This is which one he is. He's a gay scientist who has like a graduate level degree. I'm putting this down there. There we go. Graduate level degree, etc. Here's the problem. That man is probably going to do to the jury, is going to be a problem to the jury. The same type of problem is why they don't want me or other lawyers on a jury. When you often have highly educated people, they feel like, I know what I'm doing. I'm smart. I don't need to hear. I don't need to follow those instructions. Some people can basically be too smart for their own good. They don't want to follow the instructions, or those actually may be some of the main ones, y'all, that will get up there and do what I said, what I explained was jury nullification. So that's where a juror sees the rules, they read the rules, and they say, nope, this rule's stupid. I'm not going to do it. It's stupid. I'm not going to do it. And we all know that creates a whole hell of a bunch of problems. All right. So here's the one. I was trying to get the juror. Okay. So it's juror 25. Here it is. Let me share this one. Make sure you guys can see it. There you go. Juror 25. It says he is a 51-year-old man who works as a scientist, lives in Manhattan with his domestic partner. I'm assuming he's gay, but I don't know. He says domestic partner. But when you see that scientist, that man's going to ask a lot of questions. But the challenge was he went in that room and said something along the lines of, I don't care what the instructions are. I'm going to do X, Y, or Z. More than likely said, I'm going to vote in this way. I don't care what the judge told us to do. That's wherein lies the first problem, right? Then the second issue was we had the question about distribution. Stay with me. We're going to walk through this, and I think it's going to make a little more sense on how and where the jury is hung. So then secondly, there was the distribution issue. Now with the distribution issue, let me pull this up. There you go. With the distribution issue, a juror had asked they said specifically, if a friend asked you for substances and you give it to them, is that distribution? Is that distribution? So the Maureen Comey wanted the answer to just be yes. Tell the judge, just say yes. And then the defense was like, well, no, you need to explain more. Ultimately, what the judge decided to say, and I'm going to explain why it matters. The judge said he sent the following explanation, which was basically referring them to the jury charge. He said, the word distribution means actual, constructive, or attempted transfer. To distribute simply means to deliver, to pass over, or hand over something to another person, or to cause it to be delivered, passed on, or handed over. Distribution does not require a sale. Okay, that was significant. I'm going to tell you, and I actually had made a video for y'all on this, and then I had to run to court. Here's the thing. This is what I first thought about, though, when I heard that was the question. I said, oh, we got a rogue. Somebody got going rogue over here. Because here's what that question says to my attorney mind. Let me make it bigger on the screen. Hold on. To ask, if a friend asks me for substances and I give it to them, wherever that went. If a friend asks me for substances and I give it to them and they're saying, is that distribution? In other words, is that a crime? What they're saying, whoever had that particular question, is These jury instructions, these definitions seem stupid as hell. More importantly, that sound like that could be me or you or anybody I know. This doesn't sound like a real crime. And specifically, because they asked the question, they said, well, if someone asks you to share a substance with them, what that sounds like is they're also having issues with active participants, like people who want to actively participate in some of these offenses. And to what extent is it still a crime if both sides are actively participating? You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm getting at? Yeah, they're thinking of, you're right. They are thinking about their personal life with the substance distribution. But here's the thing, as a prosecutor, you can't forget, you, at the end of the day, when it comes to trials, the person who tells the better story wins. And if you're telling a story where the law, as you describe it, could swoop up and wrap up everybody, me, my uncle, my granddaddy, my slow cousin, then we're going to have a problem. And what could happen is a juror could say, okay, you're telling me that that is distribution. My friend asking me to give them some of my Adderall and I give it to him. Well, if that's distribution, I'm just going to vote no because it's dumb. That's how you could end up with juror nullification, where someone is basically saying, I don't want to follow the law. That was my first concern when I heard that. I said, oh, it's going to be somebody on that jury who's going to hear these interpretations of the law and hear them being just way too broad and encompassing way too many people or way too many instances where they're like, they may not be able to follow the law. Somebody said, I hope I never have to be on a jury. It said, given where the jury is at the time, what's the min-max time for charges 2 through 5? Hold on, I'm going to get to that. Oh, thank you so much, CC Love, for the super chat. It says, what's my predictions? I'm going to leave this here because that's exactly, they have verdicts on the other ones. Doesn't matter. I already answered that. Yes. I am actually going to answer that now. Can they seize his assets if he is not found guilty of RICO? Yes. If he's found guilty of trafficking, they can seize anything related to that. So it would be any of the homes where he's had any of the freak offs. If he used business resources to fly out people to the freak offs. So yes, there's still, it just wouldn't be as clear cut. Okay. So again, so important to note, the first alarming question was the distribution question. It signaled to me somebody's not going to feel comfortable finding him guilty of distribution. And distribution, as we talked about, was one of the simplest charges. And then there's this, y'all. So now I'm going to walk you through. So then what happened? This is a little raggedy here. There were a number of different areas of the transcript that the jury requested. I'm going to make it bigger. This is what the jury requested to see transcripts answers. Stick with me because I promise I'm getting to the point. They wanted to see part of the transcript. Now, this is 10:15 in the morning yesterday. They wanted to see the section of the transcript that was Cassie's testimony regarding the Intercontinental incident. Secondly, her testimony concerning events at Conn's and those that immediately followed. We know what Intercontinental was. That was the beatdown. Conn's, that was when they were at Conn's. Cassie and Diddy get into it. He gets mad at her, kicks her off of his yacht with no shoes, no passport, no phone, etc. And then he threatens her and tells her that if she does not have a freak off, or if she doesn't have an FO, that he is going to release her X tapes, send it and call her mother and show S tapes to her mama, and then demanded that they have a freak off next. Okay. Those are the general facts about Conn's. Then third, they wanted to hear about Cassie's testimony, if any, regarding interactions with freak offs with Daniel Phillip, the hooker. Daniel was important because Daniel testified to seeing him whoop on her during a freak off. He even testified to witnessing that there was an incident where she asked for a substance, I want to say, because she had been either beat on or she was so messed up that she needed it to complete the freak off, something along those lines. Y'all, It's been a lot going on. But basically, it tracked. When I saw that, I said, oh, shoot. It tracked how the prior question, the prior day, it was a prior day that they asked about the distribution. If a friend asked me for it and I give it to her. Here, Daniel Phillip discussed witnessing an incident in which Cassie had asked for a substance and Diddy had given it to her during a freak off so that she could keep going. That's what it was. Because part of it is he wants to go all night. He wants to go 36 hours. And fourth, they wanted testimony regarding an incident at the Essex Hotel with her. And that was a beatdown. Okay. So basically we've got 3 different physical situations. The second one was the blackmail, extortion, all of the above. And then, so this was at 10:15 in the morning. At 1 o'clock, they get the documents, they get the transcripts. They go back, they read the transcripts. I need to look, come on, stay with me now. I'm almost there. Landing the plane. So they request all these transcripts that are up here on the screen. They request those at 10:15 in the morning. The judge delivers it to them at 1 p.m. At 4 o'clock, they have a verdict for counts 2 through 5. What do y'all think they are? Because here's the thing, what's interesting, but they don't have a verdict for the distribution. 2 through 5 were what? All about Cassie and Jane's assaults, the transportation across state lines for, SEX. So basically, it was like, it was 800 milligrams. Okay. Wait, I'm looking at it. Jesus, sorry to hear that. How much was he given? Yeah. So in the end, what I'm saying is, yes, they reached a verdict on 2 through 5. Are those submitted? The verdict has not been submitted. But what I'm saying is their verdict, whatever it was, they really focused on those incidents of violence regarding Cassie. You know what else you notice from those transcript sections? What that meant is those transcript sections were determining factors for them being able to reach whatever verdict they were reached. You know what they never asked nothing about? Not a goddamn thing about Jane. Not a thing about Jane. There doesn't seem to be a single question about nothing relating to Jane. So he hasn't been given time yet. So that's the thing. He has not been given time yet. He has not been found guilty. Hold on. We are still here. Hold on. We've got an update. Here we go. The jury is just resuming deliberations. That's it. Sorry. Yeah. There we go. Here we go. I'm just making sure I haven't missed anything. Nope. Today in court, jurors are seen. Trial is resumed. They're deliberating at the judge's request after they weren't able to read. Okay, we're good. We've not missed a thing. Got you. But what I'm saying is, basically, they got the segments of the transcript that directly discussed these violent incidents regarding Cassie. They asked for none of them regarding Jane. And then they came to a judgment. Now, we don't know if it's all the same. For example, we don't know if counts 2 through 5, is it all guilty? Is it all not guilty? Is it a mix-up? We don't know. Our reporter who said they weren't trafficked, knock it off. I'm going by the law. That's what I do over here. I'm talking about the law and you guys get to decide. So here's what my predictions are. I actually feel that, all right. So then further, I feel that whatever they found on 2 through 5, because of how fast it was, my gut says that it's the same verdict for all 2 through 5. What do you guys think? I hope that it's not, because here's the thing. If it's the same verdict 2 through 5, then that would have to be a not guilty, because ain't no way that they found him guilty of Jane. There's no way he found them guilty. If they're asking questions about distribution, like they asked, like if my friend asks for a drug and I give it to her, is that if they're asking those questions, they're not finding him guilty of Jane. So therefore, if it's all agreed, I'm going to say it would be a not guilty. But here's the thing. Many have said, well, if it's not guilty, why are they worried about, why are they even focused on the RICO? Well, because RICO has other offenses that don't involve the trafficking or the Mann Act. And the other reason I'm thinking that it might be a not guilty for 2 through 4 is that if he was found guilty of both of the things that were done to Cassie, both of those offenses, that would be 2 RICO crimes, and RICO could be satisfied from them. RICO could be satisfied from them. Because remember, you only need 2 instances. And so if they found Diddy guilty of what he did to Cassie, both transportation across state lines for Cassie and the S trafficking, well, those are part of the underlying RICO offenses. So then if you found him guilty for that, then you should find him guilty for RICO, unless, this is the only caveat, unless they're stuck on RICO because they're not in agreement that it's an enterprise and they're not in an agreement that it's a, what did we say? And that it's an enterprise and that it's a conspiracy that we're talking about. That would be the only thing, because there's at least 2 offenses. Let me see. What does it say? There's really, wait. There's no way they can give a guilty verdict for Jane. If they did, his team needs to appeal. Yeah. So I guess my analysis was that, yeah, it's very frustrating. It is frustrating. I'm sorry. It is frustrating. I'm sorry to tell. Here we go. Let me just make sure. I'm checking the updates. I'm checking the updates. Oh, don't get on me now. All right, here we go. Now, what the judge did do is make him go back in that room. All right, Sean, it's okay. Here, let me share this tab. You can see it here. We're going to do our updates, make it bigger. I hope that makes sense. Hit that subscribe as y'all come on in. Hit that like as well. Let's see if we can. I'm trying to get to 80K, y'all. I'm trying to get to 80K. Y'all got me to 75. Here we are. Here are the updates. It says 9:15, Combs in the courtroom talking with his lead lawyer, Agnifilo. Also in the well, Shapiro, Westmoreland, and others. I don't care about that. House Rules Committee. We don't care about that. Sir, stay focused. I'll put it in. They asked, good morning. Are you doing a video this morning while walking? Oh, there we go. Here we go. All right. 9:30. Now Combs is talking with his lawyer. Okay, that's fine. While the other 4 lawyers huddle around, he stands asking marshals and is allowed to speak. All right. While we're doing that, we're kind of sitting looking for our updates. I want to make sure you understand. Oh, we got some questions here. I want to make, finally, I got the name right. If they find him not guilty of RICO, then he can win his appeal, possibly. If he gets convicted of 1 ST charge, trafficking charge, it's a minimum of 15 years. That is correct. That is correct. I don't think it's an enterprise. Okay, let's hear that. I don't think it's an enterprise. What enterprise? Why were co-conspirators? See, that's not part of the law. Why were co-conspirators not charged? See, we don't know that they weren't charged. They're charged in sealed indictments. They just weren't charged as co-defendants. And the government gets to decide who they charge as co-defendants. But here's this. Okay, I see this question a lot. Strategically, if I were the prosecutor, especially knowing after the fact, right? Mark in his closing was like, where are the co-conspirators? Now, throughout the trial, the government used the term co-conspirators. They just didn't have them. Here's what I would do. I want to hear your thoughts on this. If you were a juror, I would have gone ahead, called KK, called her to the stand. Guess why? It would have forced her to do what? What did everybody do when they took the stand? Everybody, even the guy who just got him substances and stuff. They all, like in the big fat boy at first, that was like his personal assistant that danced kind of goofy. They all pled the 5th. Every last one of them pled the 5th. So I might call girl, have her plead the 5th in front of the jury if possible. Make her do it in front of the jury. Why? Because then it's going to create mystery in the mind of the jury. Oh, this is the co-conspirator. Oh, she must have committed crimes. You know how they had that back. Oh, she must have did something. She don't want to answer none of the questions and just answer like 10 questions. Ask her like 10 questions. I plead the 5th. I plead the 5th. And at the end, you can say, are you going to answer any of my questions today? And she's going to say, I plead the 5th. I say, no further questions, Your Honor. Now, it is kind of risky because then on cross, they could elicit testimony where she says how great Diddy was and da-da-da-da-da. However, no, you can in certain instances. Somebody said you can't plead and from you can in certain instances. Now, if you're going to do it across the board, right? You're right. You can't. But if you're going to answer certain questions, then you can. Because think about it. What was it? Who was it? Um, oh, Megan Thee Stallion case. There were certain areas where, oh, girl pled the fifth. They could have gotten a lot out in just questions like that. And I might have tried the same thing with D-Rock. But that's also part of why the whole thing, we're like, yeah, if all they're going to do is plead the fifth the whole time. And the thing is, if they are co-defendant, co-conspirators, that is exactly what they would have done. And that would have been why they could not be called. But I also, in closing, after Agnifilo says, we're the co-conspirators, they didn't call any. Baby. The way I would have said, oh, Your Honor, we couldn't call them because they're co-defendants. They're waiting for their own cases. Because at that point, he opened the door for it. Mark opened the door. Oh, you got something to say? Cool. Watch me work. The reason I didn't call KK and D-Rock is because I got sealed indictments against them too. I'm tearing all y'all up. At the end of the day, I think that the defense did a really good job of being an excellent storyteller. They told much better stories throughout. Even when they was just on cross-examination and they just had to take the facts that were there and kind of create gray areas. Whereas the government really was just relying on the law. And they were like, well, this is what the law says. This is what the law says. And these are the facts. And you put the facts in the law. You forget that you might get a juror who just thinks the law is stupid. The feds are ridiculous. Y'all have been harassing, overcharging, and abusing people with the justice system for so long that I'm just not with it for today. It says KK is a co-conspirator, and best believe if they can get a guilty verdict on Diddy, she would be next. That is what they did with R. Kelly. They got his co-conspirators next. The defense has no opposition. Okay, let me see. Oh, we got some more super chats. Thank you. Oh, we got a new member. Thank you so much, Mitch. Oh, my vision is so bad. Mitchy Music. Okay, it says, Sharon, thank you. It says, Symone, we love you. Question, if he is sentenced, will the sentencing be televised? It won't. No, it won't be televised. Nothing in federal court. It is just a national federal rule. Even at the Supreme Court, they don't televise the Supreme Court of the United States when there's oral argument. So no. Oh, y'all, do not let me be late. Hold on to Don Lemon. I'm doing Don Lemon at 10:10. Hold on 1 second. And okay. Oh, great. I got my link. All right, we're all set. All right, next. I want to get these questions, guys. Hit that subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And then it says, all right, Juliet's thoughts says, my son, was actually convicted for taking prescription ibuprofen from someone who got angry with him about it. Oh, wow. So then, Juliet, if you were on a jury, if you were on this jury, how would you feel about convicting and charging someone based on an offense like that, where they asked for it, they gave it to him, and now they talking about you're the problem. Let me get this. I want to show, hold on. I want to show the verdict form. We got it. We just had it open the other day. I got to show you this verdict form because this is also how I made my predictions and why I think it's going to come off. And again, I don't know. I've been wrong before, but I want to show you. Here it is. I want to show you part of why this whole hung on the RICO is surprising to people. Where did I just do that? I know I had it. Okay, let's see. Hold on. Just pull it right back up. Sorry, guys. I just moved my downloads away. Here we go. Jury charge Diddy. Boom. Got it. Leave me alone. Get. Is it? No, it's not the jury charge. It's the verdict form. That's right. We need the verdict form. Hold on. So we got the verdict form here. I'm going to share that with you guys. Let's look at that. See, that's the one the government wanted. But they actually made it even simpler. Let me show you. This is what the government wanted, but something else was actually obtained. What we want to do. Hurry it up. Hurry it up. So basically, I know where it is. Hold on. It was on X. My bad. Let's get it from X. Hold on. We had just had it. Okay. On cones, we got these. We got the jury instructions. We are not reading those jury instructions. Those things are, oh God, I feel sorry for them. Those jury instructions, guys, were 62 pages long or 64 pages. Jury verdict form. Hold on. We got the verdict form. Okay. I'm going to open it for you. And boom. All right. So with the verdict form, here's the other reason why this RICO charge was so perplexing to folks. So I'm going to make it bigger on the screen. I know. Y'all look at this. If you have a controlled substance, give a controlled substance to anyone and it's not prescribed, you can be charged with distribution. That is true. That is absolutely true. All right. Let me take this banner off because it's clearly in the way. All right. So here's the revised verdict sheet. Okay. This is the verdict sheet. You see what it says for count one? The first question. How do you find the defendant Sean Combs with respect to count one? Guilty or not guilty? But what right below that, A, if you have found the defendant guilty of count one, then please indicate whether the pattern of racketeering activity from the defendant agreed would be committed involved. Oh, no. Sorry, that's not the correct one. That's not the updated one. It's the, wait. I shared the wrong one. Hold on. Shared the wrong one. Hold on. That's the old one. Remove. Now we got it. Okay. And I'm going to make it bigger. Okay, here it is. So it says here for count one, how do you find the defendant on count one? Not guilty or guilty? Well, then you look. What's the first thing it asks? I don't know why this thing is so small, guys. But the first thing it then asks is if and only if, quote, if and only if you find the defendant guilty of count one, which type of racketeering acts do you unanimously find were involved in the offense? And then it breaks them down. So in other words, first they have to find him guilty of racketeering. But I just feel like that's odd because so I guess what many are confused about is because first they have to find him guilty of racketeering. That would mean they found an enterprise existed, that there was a conspiracy, that they worked together for a common goal, that stuff. And then and that it was that they performed crimes of some sort. Then you come down below to decide. Now, what could also be happening is that they on RICO cannot agree as to which offenses occurred. Because remember, they have to agree unanimously. But this is also why I think they could stick with a hung jury. I'm so sorry that this is so small. It's very, very annoying. Someone said not necessarily. Not necessarily. If they were worried about distribution, where is one stop in the doctors? That's not how, you guys, that's not how trials work. You don't just call any and everyone. You call only your best witness. You don't call every distributor of substances. You call, first of all, because if they have a history, if they have a criminal record of, doing this a lot, then they're not a better witness. You call someone like a Brendan Paul because they're more sympathetic to a juror. Are you going to jail for life and Cassie getting 30 million? Something's not right there. Oop. Based on those jury questions, it's not looking good for Diddy. I feel that there's someone on the jury that's not willing to follow the instructions, and that's a large part of the confusion that they're going through. Let me say that. Their confusion is, let me just do page 1, the verdict form. Yeah, somebody is just like, nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. There's page 2. Because look, they have to say what was proved and what wasn't. I could also see them being hung again if some people be like, yeah, I think some of us believe, for example, bribery. Listen. If they cannot agree that bribery occurred, yeah, it's definitely going to be hung on RICO, on racketeering. Because I feel like that was one of the most clear cut. While, yeah, part of the goal of the 100,000 might have been for the confidentiality and the video, it was definitely to make sure the cops didn't get the video. Absolutely. And bribery doesn't require it to be a public official, or an open case. No. But then also, I did confirm here. Remember the acts? Let's see. There's also acts involving transportation for purposes of prostituta. That one as well. That was the male hookers. Apparently, somebody must believe that the male hookers were just getting paid for their time. Is that what it was? They was just getting paid. That's the only way where it would make sense. That's not a RICO. It's illegal, but not a RICO. Okay. Symone, don't all enterprises work towards a common goal? Isn't that a mission statement? No, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. But the reason that it falls under RICO is because in order to execute their mission, they commit crimes. See, if you work at Amazon, you're not supposed to commit crimes to commit their mission of on-time delivery or whatever it's going to be, right? So I say that to say, in the end, as you can see on this jury firm, number one, if they found him guilty of both of the offenses against Cassie, under count 1, that would have been S trafficking. It would have been S trafficking. And then it also would have been, for Cassie, transportation for the purposes of prostitution. Both of those. Therefore, they would have seen racketeering, unless they are saying some of the other elements perhaps weren't met. But then if they're saying that there wasn't an enterprise, there wasn't this, there wasn't that, if that's the case, then according to these instructions, they shouldn't be looking down here no way. Remember, see, it says here, how do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty? If and only if you find the defendant guilty of count 1, then which acts do you guys unanimously agree with? And here's the thing, there was a big argument in the charging hearing whether or not it needed to be unanimous. In other states and other places, it doesn't need to be unanimous as long as each juror finds that there were at least 2 offenses that were violated. All right, Kyla, can they seize his assets if he's not found guilty of RICO? Oh, I think I answered that one. And the answer was going to be, if he's found guilty of S trafficking, yes, they can do certain ones that can be traced to that. Given where the jury is at this time, what is the minimum max time for charges 2 through 5? 2 through 5 is still S trafficking. Minimum 15 years, max life for 2 through 5. Thank you for asking. Thank you for the super chat. Juliet's thoughts. Oh, we talked about that one, about your son. Sharon. We got that one. We got Mitchie, the new member. Up. All right. Let me see. Thank you so much. Jet Life Vacations. Ooh, you sound like you're fun. Thanks for covering. You have an amazing teeth. Thank you. I had braces 3 times. Can I talk about the Mann Act? Yes. So Mann Act, Jack Johnson, and why the law was really put into place. No way this should have ever made it to court. All right. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to head on over to Don Lemon's channel. You could see him. And then, of course, I will be back when we have updates. I'll say this before I get into the Mann Act. I just want to, y'all give me my flowers, put some flowers in the chat. Because remember, when there were predictions as to how long it would take, I think Monday or last week, I told y'all they were going to come back before the holiday talking about some they're hung. I told y'all, I know my juries. I know my juries. I know my law. I told y'all because people do not want to have to stick around, deal with this case right through the holidays. And I specifically said that the judge would say what? I said, they'd come, they say they're hung. The judge would say, go on back, keep trying. You have to do that at least once. And that's what the judge did this morning. Now, here's where we're in the dangerous zone. After it's done, it was just nicely told them this first time. But then after that, he can give them a more intense charge. And with the more intense charge, he's going to be more specific. He's going to say, I want you to go in there and I want each of you to discuss the weaknesses in each of your positions. Each go through there. And it really forces people to really take a second look at their argument and them to go back and forth. Now, if they do that and then they are still hung, that's when the judge will likely say, okay, I will accept your verdict. But here's the catch. They have not pronounced the verdict on charge counts 2 through 5. So at any time until then, they can change them. So while they're currently in agreement, they could end up sitting there fussing about some RICO elements and deciding they want to change their vote. It's all fluid throughout this whole process. But either way, I anticipate they're trying to get the hell up out of here by let's see. Court is supposed to be closed tomorrow. So today is really when they're going to be working hard. But court can open if they wanted to. Here's the thing. The defense doesn't want the jury to be told that they could come in and deliberate tomorrow. The defense is really trying to push them to give a verdict now because they know that verdict would be not guilty. Anytime you rush a jury like that with something so complicated as these counts, then the jury's like, oh no, it's confusing. Just reasonable doubt. So that's where they would be at. So in the end here, I do anticipate that we'll at least get them to come back and say, we're still stuck today or something. I anticipate that. And then we'll have to see how it goes. Now, Mann Act, okay? Mann Act was one of the other charges that I thought initially were strong. Mann Act was initially created, this boxer, Jack Johnson, very successful. He decided to marry him, a white lady. And they got married and they would travel and they'd go across state lines. Because, there's certain states Black people couldn't even get hotel rooms in. He did that. Well, they created the Mann Act, which made it a crime to go across state lines for sex, even though it was his wife. They charged him with that and he was convicted and he had to serve time federally for that, lost his boxing license. It was a tragedy. Just within the last year, posthumously, you know the word, after he died, after he died, the president pardoned him. So he's already passed away many, many years ago, but he got pardoned for that. When I saw that, I also thought that was a setup and that likely Diddy may have a similar fate because Diddy's charged under the same act. Now, 2 of the charges of the 2 through 5 charges that we're talking about, 2 of those charges are Mann Act charges. One for Cassie, one for Jane, claiming that he basically transported them over state lines for prostitution. But here's the thing. Here's the catch. Under RICO, where it lists on the verdict form, which is right here, under RICO, where it lists under the verdict form about prostitution across state lines. Where's the next one? It's on the second page. That one is the one that includes the S workers. So, in other words, I was thinking this whole time that the Mann Act standalone charges, here's one here at the bottom, that's for Cassie, and the other one here is Jane. I thought that those included the guys. They do not. But the one that does include the guys is acts involving transportation for the purposes of prostitution. And that was proven by how the Comey in her closing was talking about the fact that clearly these men were being paid and they weren't being paid for their time. So but I don't know why they did not do a standalone charge for all of the guys that were paid as hookers. I don't know, but I feel like that would have been a stronger charge. I don't know why they're doing a lot of these things. Oh, verdict's in. Okay. Wait. Hold on. Wait. All right, here we go. Share this one. Share. Okay, here we go. All right. I got it. Here we go. I got it. It's here. It is here. It's here. We got it. Make sure y'all can see this on the screen. I'm gonna take this down. So we've got reached a verdict on 4 of the 5 today after deliberating for 12 hours. Let me click the reach the verdict. Hold on. Here we go. Get all caught up. All right. Has reached the verdict. Here we are. Here's what you need to know. and 4 of the 5, after deliberating for roughly 12 and a half hours, jury sent a note saying they did not reach a verdict on 1, which is the racketeering. It carries a minimum. Hold on. 11 minutes ago, it says, in 4 of the 5, they sent a note saying they did not reach a verdict on 1, which is the racketeering. The judge instructed them to keep deliberating. The jury sent a note advising it will continue. Okay, wait. Make sure. Hold on. Wait. Okay. Movement in the courtroom. Word given. There is a verdict. Here we go. Inner City Press. Let's share this one. All right. And we got it. All right. Let's do Associated Press. They are the best. Associated Press. Diddy. Verdict. Got it. Come on. We got it. Google. Okay. Associated Press. Diddy. Verdict. Got it. Okay. Come on. It's here. All right. And then we've got refresh. Here we go. Okay. He's going to keep live tweeting. All right. We're here. Jury deliberates. Is in better spirits. All right. All right. 6 minutes ago. All right. Here we go. I'm so nervous. What is it? I'm so nervous. Here we go. Live updates. NBC. They're so much better. We got it. Come on. Jesus. All right, let's go back to this one. Share. All right, refresh. We've got. All right, the prosecutors have filled the seats at the front. Combs has still not been brought back into the courtroom from the holding cell. Okay. No. Mm-mm. Oh, I'm signing in. I ain't getting no ads. None of this is going to be in my way. All right. Because okay, so what it's saying is, let's get all caught up. Here we are. All right, this is live. Here's what you need to know. Reached a verdict in 4 of the 5. Jury sent a note saying they did not reach 1 in count 1, which was the racketeering. The judge instructed them. More notes. Sending more notes to the judge. The latest was a note asking for several. You got that? No. Nope, that was from yesterday. We got that. Come on. No, we don't want this. CNN Diddy trial live update. All right, now it says live. Here we are. Just in. All the counts. Okay. Why the fuck does it look like this? Hold on. You gotta be kidding me. All right, hold on. Oh, I got it. All right. His mom and sister in the courtroom. All right, here's what we got. Jesus. Make sure you guys can see this. He's charged with 5 counts. If found guilty, the most serious charges, he could face life in prison. Yeah, we got it. His mom and his sister in the courtroom. Okay, that was 1 minute ago. 1 minute ago. I am looking at all of them. Oh, gosh. I'm just going back and forth, y'all. I'm going to be late for Don Lemon, y'all. Oh, wow. Here we go. All right. Okay. Let's see. And it is. Y'all, I'm going to TMZ. I know they're going to have it. TMZ. I never said nothing. Here we go. All right. Can you help me pull up the... all right, here we go. TMZ. Here we are. Yikes. No verdict on Rico. Okay. Well, yeah, we know that. Update. What the hell? What? Let's see this one. What in the world? All right. Diddy verdict. You got to be kidding me. Okay. And we have, it says, it has not been announced yet in court. It says the jury reached a verdict. It has not been yet announced. They're still there. Still there. Let me see Washington Post. Live. What the? Get this shit off my computer. Okay, I'm about to do. What is this? All right. It's supposed to be live update. This is not live. All right, we're going to go back to this. All right, we're still update. Come on. Update. Refresh. If convicted, Come on, in a city. All right. Can Rashida, let me see. All right, let's see. All right. No. All right. And it's so much harder when you're not there. All right, we're going to do this together, guys. Oops. All right. We're still waiting. Here's what you should know. Yeah. Just tell us what it is. I can't. If they agreed that quickly, it's got to be a not guilty. Got to be. All right. We are seeing. Play the sound. Girl.
Prove sex trafficking, that the video simply proved domestic violence, that you don't want the government in your bedroom, in your sex life, describing this as a swinger's lifestyle. I also want to point out, right, Laura, that his team did not call any witnesses. They rested their case in 30
Okay, so they're walking in, hands clasped in prayer.
Cassie Ventura, saying
All
that
right.
she was the winner in this situation.
Girl, I don't want to hear
because she
you.
walked away with a $20 million civil settlement.
You stress me out, girl. I don't care nothing about what you're going to say. I'll make sure y'all can see this part. Y'all see this? Okay, we got it. All right. The jury reached a verdict after 3 days. Yesterday, the jury told the judge it reached one on 4 counts, but could not agree on racketeering. That's too quick for racketeering. They must have just said not guilty so they could go away for the holiday. It said it's note to the judge that there were jurors with, quote, unpersuadable views. Combs faces 5 charges. Yeah, we know that. This live briefing may include graphic. All right, I'm just continuing to I'm like refreshing every second. All right, they're back in the courtroom. He's walking in with his hands in prayer position. Jury returned to the courtroom after they sent a note at 9:52 saying they did reach a verdict on all counts. That was 9:52. Even inner city press don't got no updates. So he's brought back in. Okay, here we go. Oh, look. Okay, judge, we have received a note and it reads, we have reached a verdict on all counts. Anything to address before we bring our jury out? No. Maintain order while the verdict is being read and until we have the jury out. Judge, I'll ask our deputy to bring back our jury. Okay. Combs is seated. His 8 lawyers standing up. All rise. Motherfucker. All rise. Here we go. All rise. We are rising. We are rising. We are rising. We are rising. All right. I am refreshing on all my sources. All right. I've also refreshed on NBC. I feel like inner city is going to be faster than anybody else. Come on, inner city. All right, we've got your note. Juror number 5, have you reached a verdict? We have. Is it unanimous? It is. Please provide the verdict to the deputy. All right, y'all, we're doing this together. Hit that subscribe, y'all. Hit that subscribe. Hit that subscribe. All right. All right, we got it. And it is refresh. Is it unanimous? Yes. I'm also refreshing my other pages I got open, like NBC and stuff at the same time. NBC ain't got nothing. Is it unanimous? It is. Please provide the verdict form to the deputy. Okay, so now the deputy is reviewing it. They're looking at it. They're making sure. There's no way there's a guilty on Rico coming back that quick. Nope. Everybody was just like, bug it. And it's not even hung on Rico. It's not even hung, y'all. Here we go. Count 1, not guilty. Sex trafficking of Cassie, not guilty. Transportation for prostitution, guilty. Wow. Count 1, Rico, not guilty. Trafficking of Cassie, not guilty. Transportation for prostitution, guilty. Y'all see that? Do y'all see that? What did I tell you? What did I tell y'all? What did I tell y'all? Please provide the verdict to the deputy. Is it unanimous? Yep. S, trafficking of Cassie, not guilty. Transportation for prostitution, guilty. All right, now let's see what they say for Jane. Let's see what they say for Jane. I'm sorry, girl. I know you're trying to work, boo. I love you so much. I'm really grateful. Y'all hit that like. This is bad for my nerves. Keep going. Inner city press. Keep going. Here, I'm refreshing. Because keep going. He was found guilty on. Okay, not guilty of okay, here we go. Not guilty of trafficking Jane, but guilty of the Mann Act of Jane. So he just got 2 hooker charges. That's all. So he was found not guilty of counts 1, 2, and 4. Basically, 1, 2, and 4. He didn't traffic nobody. No RICO. Here we go. Not guilty on the RICO. Okay. He was found guilty of transporting old girl across state lines, both of them. Both Mann Acts, correct. Both Mann Acts. He was found guilty of 2 of the 5. I told y'all, remember, y'all would, you're going to have to see my big old face now. Here you go. Because, why is it so small? Yes, he is been found guilty. Let me refresh this. Of the Mann Act. And I said, that's what people would say. Here we go. There we go. Not guilty. Let me see these comments. New York is the last case scenario. Oh, Lord. Thank you. Yes, the verdict was in. Thank you so much for that super chat, super chief. HF, if they agree on 2 predicates, do they have to keep going through the list? That's a great question. I had wondered that when HFG, because the verdict form doesn't say anything about you only needing 2 predicates. The verdict form I think they just got tired of that whole charge. They need to poll the jury. So polling the jury. So don't y'all go nowhere. Polling the jury is what happens when they ask each juror if this is their vote and are they sticking by it. All right. So I want to hear what those jurors are going to say. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nurse Lala. Thanks for all you do. Okay, let's see what we can hear. If we can hear anything. All right. Let's see what we got. There's the audio. All right. The didster.
To what prosecutors in their closing argument said were 3 very obvious instances of sex trafficking, because they did not have to find that it was the hundreds of times that Cassie Ventura had testified that she engaged in these freak-offs. So prosecutors pointed to these 3. That testimony aligned exactly to that, what the jury wanted to hear. So here's where the defense clearly broke that chain, because what needed to happen was that the jury believes that the commercial sex act, so those freak-offs, that Cassie Ventura engaged in them because of that violence, because of the violence, the force that because was exerting, because of extortion about releasing these videos. But what the defense argued was there were lots of other reasons. There was jealousy in the relationship. Yes, there was violence, but it related to these personal romantic relationships that he had
as
with both
Cassie
Cassie
being
and
part
Jane.
Of this mastermind of an enterprise.
And you know what's interesting, Laura? So now we know, we opined about why the jury was not on the same page when it came to RICO. We said, was it because they couldn't agree on a predicate crime, or was it because they just couldn't get there with respect to the idea of this criminal enterprise? It's been very amorphous during the course of this case.
It had to be the
hasn't really
it had to be the enterprise.
And the answer is, it's that. It's either they didn't believe there was a conspiracy, or the enterprise.
Or the enterprise.
And I say that because the Mann Act, these 2
charges, those 2 charges would have been enough for the RICO.
If they believed that there had been a criminal enterprise,
that would have been enough.
This would have satisfied the predicate crimes.
So that means they didn't satisfy that. Okay, I want to go to
Chloe
I'm standing by, you see that outside of court right now.
I told you that
Chloe,
y'all had me so confused
a very
yesterday.
Emotional scene playing out in court. We don't have cameras in the courtroom, but we do have a team fanned out all over that building that you're looking at right now. Bring us inside the courtroom, if you will, Chloe, about what is happening in there. What is the reaction as this is still playing out in the judge thanking the jury now?
Even though there are 2 guilty counts.
Let's refresh this. Okay. Actually, I did want to hear what she's going to say. Hold on.
Holmes's 8
8-person defense team. Tenny Garagos, the daughter of celebrity
Let's talk about what
attorney
that
Mark
time
Garagos,
could look
who is
like.
one of the lead attorneys for this criminal case of Combs. She's wiping tears. This is a massive
Teeny
moment because,
Garagos
like
is
you
crying.
said, sex trafficking had a mandatory 15-year minimum.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the prosecutors, they painted Combs as somebody that was beating women, which they owned up to, but running a criminal enterprise, and that he sex trafficked.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. That was a lot. What were you guys expecting? Hold on. I said, can the prosecution go after the co-conspirators later? They're not going to now. Yes, they could. They always could, but they're definitely not going to do it now. Thank you for the super chat. Shoot. Oh my goodness. We will have to register. Will he have to register as an S offender? No, I don't think so. Prostitution is handled differently, and these were adults. Can I re-explain the significance of the 2 Mann Acts and what it means? Sure. So specifically what he was found guilty of, and I'm actually going to pull up the jury charge so I can state it properly straight off of that. All right. Oh, okay. Let's see. Hold on. We're going to get, here it is. All right. This is the Mann Act. I'm going to share this page real quick. This is just so you guys can understand what it was that he was actually found guilty of. Come on, the Mann Act. Isn't this it? That was counts. Okay, there we go. Counts 2 and 4. And then this would have been, there we go, counts. I knew it. Here we are. So we'll share this page. All right. So basically for the Mann Act, real quick, it is counts 3 and 5, which was transportation with the intent to engage in hookers. Okay. In hookers. Make it a little bit bigger. Specifically, the elements of transportation to engage in prostitution. First, that the defendant knowingly transported an individual in interstate commerce. The defendant intended that she would engage in an act of prostitution. And that is all. That is it. That is it. So it's basically you assisted someone being transported, like that could be flights. It could be flights, bus, car, whatever, transported them in interstate or foreign commerce, that he did this for Cassie and Jane. And that second, he intended that she would travel in that way to perform a sex act. That's it. In interstate commerce, we know what that is, leaving the state. Second element, intent. Second element, the government was proved beyond a reasonable doubt. Defendant transported or caused to be transported Jane or Cassie with an intent that they would engage in prostitution. Of course, that was them with the guys. It says engaging in prostitution is the practice or instance of engaging in acts for money or its equivalent. If they found each element beyond a reasonable doubt, then defendant's guilty. Whether or not they agreed to or consented to crossing state lines. The intent is to that they traveled for prostitution. Got it? And that it has to be unanimous. That was pretty simple. All you had to do is induce them to leave or travel across state lines, and that they actually did it for SEX. Southern, it says, will he have to register? Oh, you did ask me that. Nope, he will not have to register as an S offender. Thank you so much for these super chats. Canberry, this is the worst one. He says, athletes and rappers can no longer fly women out. Well, Houston, maybe not anyone in particular on this chat, but I'm still accepting tickets. I'm not paying my own way. If I'm coming to see you, you better bring me a ticket. Diddy's team got to the jury somehow. This is a sad day. Thank you so much, Bird. It says we will. Here's the thing. When I told you guys at the beginning of this live, when I heard that question about distribution, and the question specifically being, that question was, if my friend asked me for drugs and I give them the drugs, I said, oh, it's over. We've got the jury nullification. Where's the Astroglide? I do need to shake it. Wherever it's at. We got the jury nullification. We've got jurors who really just feel like this is so stupid, they're not going to go by the black letter of the law. So I can't say that they got to the team, but I can say the way in which the prosecutions told a story would make everyone fearful, every man fearful that they too could be charged with trafficking if they pissed off their girlfriend or cut down her allowance or any of that. It says, Diddy's, okay. And then it says, thank you for the super chat. What was that one? It was another one. It's about a delay. All right, here we go. Thank you. They're not done with him. There will be more charges. Boy. All right, so what's he facing? So here's the thing, guys. What is Diddy facing? I'm going to make it better. What is Diddy facing? Diddy is facing up to 10 years in prison. Yep. Let's see. What is Diddy facing? Here we go. He's facing up to 10 years for each count. There's no way that judge will give him 10 years. I can tell you that. That judge, Judge Symone, is so reasonable, is so, he was just very reasonable. He seemed very fair. He previously did, I believe it was like civil law, civil injury, and he worked for Judge Ruth Bader Ginsburg. He's not going to stick it to this man. Now, if he felt like Diddy got off on some of the bribery and some of the other RICO offenses that were included, he could certainly choose to give him the full 10 years. Now, he will absolutely get credit for the time that's already been served while he wasn't unable to make bail. Peep that. But peep this. Remember, he wasn't given a bail because they said he was obstructing and witness tampering. But he was found not guilty of that. What? He's been in jail. He's been in detention almost a year now on the allegation of witness tampering and obstruction. But they didn't call those witnesses. None of those witnesses that they used to say, this is the reason why he shouldn't have bail. Kalina, who he allegedly called 154 times a week before she was supposed to meet with federal investigators. They didn't call her. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about not a good storytelling, wasn't persuasive. While they may have had certain elements, technical, procedural elements. For example, remember with the trafficking, technically the law says she can say no. She can say, yes, I love freak offs 100 times. If she says no that one time, after that one time, it's considered trafficking. The regular person ain't going to go for that. They're not buying that. No, because that could be me. That could be you. If my girlfriend tells me something's okay 100 times, I'm going to assume it's okay and not that I'm walking into a crime. Also, guys, that's why at the beginning of this live, I walked you through the timeline. When I saw that at 10:15 yesterday in the morning, they said, hey, we need to see all these transcript sections. They didn't get the sections until 1 p.m. They read them at 1 p.m. And then at 4 o'clock said they had an agreement on all the counts except for RICO. Well, that's how I knew it must have been a not guilty. That was not enough time to do anything other than what they did, which was agree on the Mann Act. That was clear as day. And then agree on the trafficking, as apparently they just did. Child. This is something else, boy. All right, let's see what else we got. What is he going to do next? Ooh, hold on. Thank you for the super chat. It says Puff has an appeal if it's true that the judge went into the jury room yesterday. No, that's not a reason for appeal. No, because a judge can go into a jury room if there's an issue. Somebody said loss for the prosecution. Is he going home today? That's what I'm waiting to see. So here's what can happen. So the judge does the sentencing. So remember, these jurors were not even aware. They were not supposed to be aware that he was facing up to life in prison. But the judge does the sentencing on the federal level. So he very well, since it's just prostitution, guys, he's going to let him go home, probably put up a bail, go home, and be back for sentencing in a month. And I would guess that sentence might be 2 years with time served. You don't have, what does it say? They have to grant bail now. When is sentencing? They don't have to grant bail now. No, you don't. You absolutely do not. He has been sentenced with a crime. Most people, once they're sentenced with a crime, just go straight to jail. And you wait in jail for your sentence. You don't have, I don't have $100K to cover up a hotel beating. Yep, they're negotiating the release. Okay, let's see. Here we go. I'm going to share this one. There was also, what we do have, new post. The government told the judge that Combs should remain in jail until sentencing. Prosecutor said the government will. Oh, hell no. Y'all, look at this. Oh, hell no. The government is asking that he stay in jail until the end of sentencing. Until the sentencing. That he stay in jail until the end of sentencing. The government is over here talking about they want to ask for a 20-year maximum for Combs. That's 10 on each to run on top of each other. Mark Agnifilo asked the court to release him today. Makes sense. Where he's been for nearly a year. Now that Combs is no longer charged with trafficking or tampering with witnesses or obstruction, his lawyer asked that he be released on condition to his home in Miami, sounds reasonable, and offered a $1 million bond. They're going back and forth. Now, the judge just warned, he advised the group that members of the media are going to want to speak to the jurors, but they're free to refuse interviews. The judge also asked the media to refrain from asking jurors about their specific deliberations. What happens in the jury room stays in the jury room, the judge just said. He addressed the jury regarding the considerable press that this has received. He ended by thanking the jury for their sacrifice and asked them to go to the jury room where he wanted to personally talk with them. Defense won 3 acquittals. Yeah, saying he's only guilty of Mann Act, he was not found guilty of running a criminal enterprise. All right. Now, here we go. Let's go back over to Inner City Press. Judge says, I asked the media not to question the jurors about their deliberations. Jurors, you can contact Chambers. You gave up a lot for these 10 weeks. The judge says, I need to address a few matters with the lawyer. Then I'm going to come back to meet you, jurors. All rise for the jury. I'll hear any application then about a sentencing date. Judge, he should be released. He's no longer charged with trafficking or racketeering. His plane has been chartered. It is in Maui. He does not have access to the plane. This is the first conviction, and it is a prostitution offense, Judge. He should be released, he says. His family is here and could sign a bond. He should be released today to go back and live at Two Star Island. Judge, this is just coming up right now. I will hear from the government in a moment. Are you proposing he just walk outside now? Yes, they said. Judge, are you proposing a $1 million bond? Yes, and travel to Florida, New York, and LA. Comey, the U.S. opposes his release. A person found guilty shall be detained until the judicial officer finds he is not likely to flee or be a danger. The defendant faces a maximum sentence of 20 years, Your Honor. Even while faced with this case, he assaulted Jane here in New York, prepping to surrender. He had drugs in his hotel room. He was ready to commit the same offense. Oh, it wasn't an offense, Bookie. It wasn't an offense, Bookie. Remember, he was found not guilty of that. Judge, I'm not going to resolve this second. I need to review the statutes. Ms. Comey, do you have a case in which bail was denied after a conviction under the Mann Act? You may confer and come back. We'd plan to be here the whole day. I got time, the judge is saying. He'll sit in his chambers while she looks for a case. That's why this judge is so awesome, and that's why he ain't getting no 20 years. You see what that judge did? That judge didn't go back to her and say, girl, you sound stupid, like I would have thought to do in my head, but I wouldn't say that loud. The judge said, okay, show me a case where someone was denied bail for buying hookers and taking them across state lines. I bet you can't. I bet you can't. Comey, I am aware of cases involving minors, but we intend to raise relevant conduct at sentencing. The drugs and violence. Judge, I'll like letters from each side when, in a few, the judge says, I like letters from each side when, in a few hours. Somebody says runaway jury has been bought. The judge. I think that makes sense. Mr. Combs does not want to go back to the MDC. He is shaking his. Oh, wait. What did I mention? Oh, a few hours. Mr. Combs does not want to go back to the MDC. He is shaking his head. So 1 p.m. letters, y'all. It is 10:35 right now, and we'll convene in the afternoon. I'll let the parties know when. Agnifilo. He would be a fool, which he is not, to violate any conditions, Your Honor. Adjourned. They're going to come back at 1 o'clock. 10:38. After the judge leaves the courtroom from the gallery, a loud clapping and cheering as Sean Combs is led back into the holding cell. Woo! I'm going to tell you this. Bye-bye. Tell you this real fast, quick, in a hurry. And I'm so glad. I'm also so glad I did this with you guys. I'm glad I'm not down at the courthouse. I wanted to spin this live with you guys, going through questions and everything else. Y'all saw how that judge was willing to enter. Not only is he willing to entertain bail now, Diddy has been incarcerated since September. I think it's September 24th. Not only did he say he wants to discuss, he'll discuss the bail and release at 1 o'clock. He told prosecutor, show me a case where under the Mann Act, which is simply prostitution, someone has been denied bail. Honestly, $1 million bail for the Mann Act is incredible. Here's what that signals to me. That signals to me, this is a very reasonable judge. And this is a judge that sees Mann Act prostitution as prostitution. And this is not nothing more sophisticated. It's regular old prostitution. Therefore, I would not be surprised if this judge finds him, decides to sentence him to time served. In which case, it would make sense that he would allow him to do bail. Because generally, if you are planning to give someone more time than they've already served, you don't let them go home. Let's think about that, guys. Right? We're family here. We're jurors. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. If your plan is to give them more time, you're going to just be like, no, stay here, start serving your time, right? So if in his mind, he's thinking, oh yeah, I'm probably going to give him 5 years. I don't think that he would be so open to entertaining a bail. Why? Because in every other case, you get sentenced and then you start serving your time. What was it? I'll have to confirm with, what's that gay man? The Chrisleys. I think, no, with the Chrisleys. Nope, that was federal. I think the Chrisleys, they gave them after they were sentenced. I don't think he immediately had to go to jail. Somebody look that up for me. The Chrisleys. Hold on. Chrisleys were detained after sentencing. I don't think they were. Because I remember hearing the one girl, Savannah, talk about driving her daddy to prison. Yeah, so it's not unusual to let them go. But I will say, when judges are considering giving a lighter sentence, they're even more willing to let you go home, especially after a year. Oh, allegedly. He might not be that gay. Judge has, yes, I believe that the judge does have a sentence in mind. So in other words, Cassie's lawsuit was legal, was legit, because he was found guilty on the stuff that he did to her. I mean, he wasn't found guilty of trafficking her. And honestly, what that sounds like there is that the government overstepped. Thank you so much for the super chats, guys. It sounds like, remember, when the jury came back day one and had the distribution question, that's when I knew, oh, they probably not getting no RICO. Because the distribution question was, if a friend asks me for drugs and I give it to him, is that distribution? The reason I say that is because if you can't agree, like, you wouldn't even need to argue about that if they had agreed that part of the underlying crimes were also bribery. That means they didn't agree on bribery, or they did not agree that there was an enterprise. They probably just didn't agree there was enterprise. Here we go. Thank you. It says, girl, you did that today. Good job. Thank you. I am getting ready to get me a cocktail. This wore me out. Me too. I got to catch a flight soon. Thank you, Jet Life. All right. Too much uncircumcised evidence. You mean circumstantial. It's okay. Too much uncircumcised evidence and inconsistent testimony. He'll get time served for waiting in jail for the trial. The witnesses were terrible. Facts. All right. Then we've got, will they give him bail release while waiting? I think they're going to give him bail. I think he's going to be on that jet today. This trial provided for future charges of obstruction. Could be. We got to figure out what happened with good old Gina. Puff has an appeal if it's true that the judge went to the jury. Okay, thank you for the super chat. They're not done with him. Yeah, they're not. There will be more charges. Oh, this is the worst one. Athletes and rappers. Diddy's team got to the jury. Ooh. I really enjoyed covering this with you guys. There will be more. He will have to register. I don't think he's going to have to register. No, my grandpa got hookers and he didn't have to register as an S offender. No, he's not going to have to do that. No, hookers are fine. He'll be fine. All right. It says, thank you, Symone. Oh, thank you. No, they come. The concept. Pop's coming home. Pop is definitely coming home. They can't charge him with RICO. Not again. It'd have to be a whole new time. Symone, can he be charged again? Not for any of these offenses that he was charged with here. None of these. It would have to be something new. No. They're done with him on this case. Someone was saying they're not done with him, as in they're going to find another way to arrest him. What was your granddaddy? Was my granddaddy bringing him across state lines? Probably not. He don't like driving at night. Minimum security prison. Oh, that's a great point. Probably very minimum. Let's see. Thank you for that super chat. Ooh, it says minimum security prison camp. Oh, for sure. If he gets any more time. I don't know. Honestly, y'all, that MDC that he was at in New York, it's bad. It's real bad. No. Well, ex-offenders aren't just for minors, but I hear you. Ex-offenders are just anybody. It could be kids or grown-ups where you have to register. Yep, no R word. RICO just wasn't strong enough. So it says, so that means Jane and Cassie were prostitutes. That's right. Yes, Jane and Cassie were the hookers. Not only that, Jane and Cassie were the hookers. It appears they just didn't have the structure for RICO that was required. What's my prediction on them going after him for something else? I actually think he's going to lay low. He's going to go to rehab. He is going to spend all of his time with his daughters. I think the idea of him being taken away from his daughters for life was probably freaking him the hell out. I don't think he's going to be a naughty boy for a while. Oh, also Diddy, I need my own legal show on Revolt. So I don't know what you're going to do there, but clearly I'm good. So there's that. We'll have your people call my people. Jurors will be giving, you guys would still watch it, right? At this point, we've got to move on. Okay. I think the man is, what does it say? What? I hear Diddy is looking for property in Africa. That would be he needs to go somewhere. He isn't going to change his ways. I need the Astroglide. Yeah, my Astroglide is all packed up, y'all. I am traveling. He's not going to Lala. Jane and Cassie weren't the hookers. Well, apparently they were the hookers if he transported them across state lines. Everybody was a hooker, okay? The men were hookers. The girls were hookers. Y'all, but wait a minute. Y'all know Jane's coming back, right? Y'all, y'all, we got to get messy for a second. We got to get messy. What do you think, Jane? Jane is, she gonna want that. She want that old thing back. She wants that. Oh, Jane ain't going nowhere. Jane wants her man back. I told y'all, Jane wants her man back. And the question is going to be, is he gonna still pay your rent, girl? Or what y'all got going on? What y'all think? You think he's still gonna pay Jane's rent? He might pop her in the head now, for real, this time. Do I think Gina? Do I think Brendan Paul's testimony? Oh, this is going so fast. It says Young Miami wants her man back. Ooh, what things was I wrong about? Oh, the RICO. Well, I said the RICO. I thought the bribery was clear. And I thought that the hookers, I said from the beginning, people say, you think he's going to jail? I said, for something. They said, what do you think? I said, the hookers. Remember, I didn't think trafficking. I didn't think they were going to get with the trafficking. And I said, if they don't find him guilty of Cassie, they sure as hell ain't going to find him guilty of trafficking Jane. So those didn't happen. And then it sounds like with the structure of the RICO, I told y'all the defense closing. I didn't finish making that video where he went in there and he was like, where are the co-conspirators? That was so unlawful, but that probably helped in a major way. He put in the minds of the jurors who couldn't otherwise find a way out of those really clear-cut charges like the bribery and like the hookers under RICO. He helped them say, there's no conspiracy. There's no co-conspirators. He's the only one being charged. There's no enterprise. That part. Even though we saw all types of receipts. Well, I saw in the courtroom all types of receipts of him paying for it. But Jane is going to be knocking on the door, baby, because Jane wants that man back. If he takes her back, then he deserves to go to jail. Okay. If you take that lady back, you better put that lady at your house tomorrow. Anyone see Carisha's story a few minutes ago? No. What is it? I have clients that have been charged for RICO. It's hard to prove. I can particularly see where it's hard to prove where it's not a traditional criminal organization. This is a music label. And they weren't selling the substances. They were sharing the substances. Will KK be charged? Probably not. I'm going to give that a hell no. Girls Isn't Legal. I know you didn't just pitch yourself for a show on Revolt. I did. It's for the greater good. Y'all, what should we call the show? On my new show on Revolt. Girl, is that legal? We should call it that. It says, KK is free. Yeah, I think Jane is going to want her slot back. Will they try putting some folks in protective services? Nope. They will not. He's not that bad of a person, and it costs money. On Revolt or wherever. Can Diddy be countersued for defamation? For what? No, he hasn't defamed anybody. Can Diddy be countersued? I should call it. Yeah, that's legal for the show. Thank you. Diddy needs to marry KK for real. KK saved his butt. Why wouldn't Jane come back? She didn't want to testify in the first. That's true. She loved her man. No S trafficking. None. You would support the show. Thank you so much. KK going back to work next week, baby. What does this mean for KK? Because KK can't work nowhere else, baby. KK puts her job. If KK puts her resume up on LinkedIn, she's gonna have too many questions. She's gonna be a workplace distraction. No, KK, you got to find you something else to do. No, KK. Oh, thank you guys so much for the super chat, y'all. Whew, this thing was expensive. Thank you. What are the consequences if he paid off a witness? Whole new charge. Bribery, obstruction of justice, no bail, and it would be a whole new federal charge. Oh, I think they would probably add in their wire fraud, because if he's paying off someone, he's likely moving money in a way that he's not being honest with the government. If you move more than 10,000, there's certain disclosures you have to do. Great question. Let's see. Feds will reveal more charges pending to stop him. What was I wrong about? Oh, you had asked me that. Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong about the RICO, that he would be convicted of RICO. The elements, I still stand by the fact that the elements are there, but I feel like the prosecution, the way in which the prosecution presented itself, that especially with that distribution charge, they lost the jury. That the jury nullified itself by saying, listen, really? You want me to find this man guilty of RICO for sharing drugs with his friends? Take your butt on. It said, so new victims, correct. New victims cannot come for him with the same crimes. No, that's not true. Even though it would be a different offense. No. If he did the same thing to other people, they can come on through. There is actually a woman who has a civil suit pending, a recent one that was filed. She can come on through. Yep. It's just not victims from this case. Oh, Lord, poor Mia. Oh, Mia. Oh, Mia, leave the country, Mia. Oh, God, Mia. Okay, y'all. I'm worried about Capricorn too. God damn it, Capricorn Clark. I really want her to get another job. I want her to do well. I want her to succeed. Jesus. Oh, now I'm nervous. Yeah, so new victims can come through as long as it's new offenses. Thanks for your coverage. Keep us Brits up to date and informed. Thank you. Will he have to give up any of his fortune? Nope. Nope. Just a few hookers. Nope. They might give him a fine. They might give him restitution. But he's not going to have to give up his fortune. Minimum security prison. Yes, more likely. Did we do this one already? Yes. All right, guys. Drop your questions below. Let me know what other trials you want me to cover. I am exhausted. This was so much. I am exhausted. Bye, guys. I'm your legal bestie, attorney Symone, and this was a lot.